Part 83. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 823. Wu Liang's request obviously shocked Chen Lian and the others. They thought they would face ruthless ridicule from the grassroots military camp when they returned to the military camp, but they did not expect that they had no intention of ridiculing now and could only remember the sorrow of their compatriots. The dead are great, I am not that kind of villain. Chen Lian took a deep breath and said word by word. He is not a villain in Wu Liang's eyes. He is also very sad for these dead brothers. No matter what the origin of the other person is, you must know that human life is greater than heaven. Now that the two sides have discussed after that, Lu Feng did not intend to cause another conflict between them. He quickly ordered all the brothers to change their clothes. Everyone wore white clothes to hold the funeral. Some trees were cut down from the surrounding forest, and the ground was set up, and people with names and surnames who still had families were not cremated. However, for people with names and surnames but who actually no longer had families, they were all placed on the wooden frame and cremated in a unified manner. So you can see that on one side are people placed on wooden racks, about to be cremated, and on the other side they are covered with white cloth, with a lot of water put in the middle to prevent the fire from coming. Among the dead people covered with white cloth, more than 3/4 of them are from the second generation of officials. After all, most of the people from the second generation of officials have their own families. More than 3/4 of the people from the grassroots camp are those who want to be cremated. But at this moment, none of them cared about their origins, and they all felt sincerely sad for their dead brothers. They were all silent, and no one wanted to argue with each other at this time. They each held torches and flowers in their hands, and prayed for his kind comrades sent them on their last journey. Lu Feng looked at their surviving figures and nodded. Although this battle was a little cruel, it also allowed them to finally grow up as men and become more mature than before. It just so happens that we can see the shortcomings of the two commanders from this battle. Maybe they can grow in the future, but for now, they have not yet understood what kind of place the battlefield is. The Book of War will never be the only criterion for fighting. In the darkness, you can soon see the little sparks getting bigger and bigger, and eventually they burn into a raging fire. Even people in Yingtian Mansion can see the fires burning in the suburbs. They are very big. Many people even went to Jingzayin to declare customs, hoping to send out the water gun team to put out the fire. But when Jingzayin sent people to the suburbs, they found out that someone had died, so a cremation was being held, and the person who ordered him not to come back again, it was General Ping Chuan whom His Majesty personally appointed not long ago, so Jingzayin just pretended that this matter did not exist, and went back to let the people in the city sleep peacefully without worrying. The fire burned quickly and was very strong, but no one because of it feeling comforted by such a warm fire. Everyone in the military camp felt sad from the bottom of their hearts. They seemed to see that the person lying in the fire in the next battle was themselves. Have a good trip, brothers. Chen Lian yelled, with a cry in his voice. The man didn't shed tears easily. He tried his best not to cry out, but he couldn't help it anymore at this moment. Brothers. Farewell. Chen Lian took the lead, and the other brothers also shouted to see off the dead brother. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 824. Losing a brother is a sad thing, but as a soldier in the military camp, everyone must adapt, because they live in such a bloody world. The Kingdom of Jin and Mongolia are still eyeing the Song dynasty. They have no extra time to grieve. They will spend every day fighting in the future. Now they still have the opportunity to cover their brothers with a layer of white cloth, but they may not be able to do so in the future. There won a Euro trademark T even be another chance to clean up the corpses of my brothers. I know the sadness in your hearts now, but no matter what, you must adapt. In the future, you may not even have a person to collect corpses. This is the path you have chosen. Lu Feng told the cruel truth unceremoniously, letting these soldiers understand that the battlefield is so cruel. No matter what they think, as long as they choose this path, they must accept this outcome. I can give you one last chance. If I leave today, I will treat you as if you have never existed, but you have not left. Next, I hope that you can continue to ask yourself to become stronger during training, and go to the Jin dynasty and Mongolia in the future. People, fight back our land and avenge our dead compatriots. Lu Feng also made it clear to these people that he is not denying them a chance. Tonight is their last chance. Those who leave because of fear will not be punished in any way, but from now on they will be treated as if they do not exist. The soldiers did not speak, and everyone returned to their respective camps in silence. The next day dawned, and it was gratifying that no one left the military camp. They strengthened their thoughts and must become heroes in the future. But the relationship between them has not been eased in any way. Holding a funeral is one thing, but the conflict between them is another. So even if one night passes, the conflict between them has never changed. But it was much better before when they would fight each other when they met. Now in the military camp, when they meet each other, they don't have to beat each other black and blue. Maybe they have reached some kind of tacit understanding. Normal training begins today, but because you have now become two camps, every training will be confrontational, and every training will have losers and winners. As for what to do after winning, that is, this general will never interfere with your affairs. After one night, they finally settled down. Lu Feng also solemnly reminded them that since their two camps have not reconciled yet, the format of the competition still exists. The problem of bandits has been solved, and now the competition will become more relaxed, and the usual training is also a kind of competition. The result of the competition depends on their respective strengths. And Lu Feng gave them privileges. After the competition is over, the winner and the loser will decide. He will not ask how to do it, nor will he deal with it according to military law. They can make trouble as they please. This makes people in both camps very excited. Doesn't this mean that as long as they can win, then they will mock each other in the future, and the other side will also? They can only suffer in frustration, who made them lose. There is a smell of gunpowder between Chen Lian and Wu Liang again. Even the people in their respective camps behind them are flying. It seems that everyone is looking forward to the next competition. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 825. On the outskirts of Beijing, there is a military training ground. A new day has begun, and a new competition has begun. Wu Liang and Chen Lian still dislike each other. They work hard to compete with each other every day. The brothers behind them who are supporting each other have also been prepared for a long time, and they are bound to decide the outcome with the other side. The different origins of the two sides have already destined them to be in the same position. Lu Feng was also looking forward to seeing whether the two sides with such different camps could truly become a family of brothers and comrades willing to give their backs to each other. Two people from different classes, and now such a situation breaks out. It is not necessarily a bad thing, at least it is helpful for the current training. Lu Feng knew that in many cases, if you want to truly train a person well, or even become a military king, you need some external stimulation. As for these external stimulations, it is very likely that you will be encouraged by one person. It is also very likely that it is looked down upon by the outside world. So if we can make good use of this, maybe both Wu Liang and Chen Lian can become very good soldiers, and they themselves are the leaders of their respective camps, so as long as they can be controlled well, they can be good soldiers. The followers at the rear will definitely be able to fully grasp it. This is one of the reasons why Lu Feng was not as panicked as he thought when the conflict broke out between the two people. He just wanted to see what step these two people could achieve. Maybe in the end, he wouldn't need to take action at all, and these two people could do their best. Even now such a thing is nothing more than an expectation, but it is not impossible to achieve completely. There are two competitions today. In the morning, they will carry wood, and in the afternoon, they will compete on footwork. Moving wood is actually very simple, just see who can move the fastest and the largest amount between the two teams. Within the allotted time, the moment the game just started, the two teams were chasing each other, both wanting to be the first to finish. Although both sides have the same time, the wood prepared in advance is still limited. Therefore, if any team can move the wood in advance within the specified time, it will definitely be the first team in the game. One person. Whether it is Wu Liang or Cheng Lian, they definitely want to compete for the first place. In today's competition, whoever can get first place will have a lot of say. You must know that whoever loses will have to listen to the other person in the future. Although they are in different classes, both parties are very arrogant people, so they definitely don't want to bow down to the other party. Now the troops from both sides have been arranged, the starting point has been prepared, and the destination is directly not far ahead. All the wood is placed there, and the people who need to participate in the competition run over and carry the wood back. It's just that because the wood is relatively large, it can't be carried by one person at all, so at least two people must go there. At this time, the cooperation between teammates is more tested. If the two sides can cooperate better, it may become the key to victory. Next, it depends on how everyone performs in the game. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 826. According to the rules customized before the start of the competition, Lu Feng told everyone that up to 3 people can go at a time, and at least 2 people need to go, but they will never be able to bring other members together before every piece of wood is moved back at home. There are a total of 4 people in the participating team. New members can only start after the people who left before come back. In this way, a dilemma arises. It is equivalent to only 2 plans that can be implemented now. Each time 2 people are sent to carry the wood, so that 2 small teams can be formed to complete the tasks alternately. However, 2 people carrying the wood will definitely not be as fast as 3 people carrying the wood. It is just this method can only allow teammates to save some energy on each other, but the speed of transporting wood again will not actually reach an optimal level. Of course, you can also choose to go out 3 at a time, so that when moving the wood back, the speed will definitely be much faster than that of 2 people. It's just that if there are 3 people out every time, there will always be one person who needs to run and carry wood repeatedly. For that person, the physical consumption is very large, which is not very beneficial in the later stage of the game. So no matter which plan you choose, whether it is 2 people or 3 people, it is actually a game. Although Lu Feng came up with such a plan with advantages and disadvantages, you only need to look at how to implement it. Problems with their contestants. Moreover, Lu Feng did not set the rules to the letter, nor did he say that this time he had to decide before the game that 2 or 3 people would go out at a time. In fact, the number of people sent out every time after coming back can be constantly changed. As long as the number of people sent out at a time is guaranteed to be between 2 and 3, there will be no problem at all. As for when to send out 2 people or when to send out 3 people during the competition, that is a decision made by the 4 participating team members themselves. The purpose of Lu Feng's doing this is actually to test everyone's adaptability. Because anything can happen on a real battlefield. If you always fight step by step, there is no way to deal with special unexpected situations. Now that they are exercising this ability in advance, and still in this tense atmosphere, the final training results will definitely be of great help on the actual battlefield. And because there are 2 teams, the number of people sent by both sides can be controlled at any time. No matter which side it is, it can make random changes based on the number of people sent by the other side. Maybe this is the key to success. Location. Lu Feng casually found a shady place to sit down, and quietly became a melon-eating crowd, watching how the group of people in front of him competed. The players on both sides are ready and waiting for the referee's order. When the referee shouted the start, both teams started off at the same time, and they all sent out 3 people the first time. When they reached the other end, they immediately picked up the wood and ran back. It seems that everyone is working hard to get the first place, and everyone's goal is not actually the one who moves the most within the specified time, but that everyone is confident that they can move them all within the specified time. After all, ETA Euro trademark is just about being the fastest one. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 827. When Lu Feng saw this scene, the corners of his mouth were slightly raised. It seems that these people still think too simply. They always think that moving wood is not difficult for them, but in fact it is not. Lita Euro trademark S try this competition. It sounds very simple, but in fact it is much more difficult to do. At the beginning, everyone had very good physical strength, so they didn't Euro trademark T pay too much attention to some detailed issues. But as the game progresses, you will find that this is not the case. Many times it depends on the different number of people between 2 or 3 people. The choice is likely to be some small details in the process of moving wood. These will certainly not have much impact in a short period of time, but as the number of times of moving wood increases, after a long period of accumulation, everyone will find that their physical strength is not as good as they imagined. Moreover, the choice between 2 or 3 people is more importantly a choice between explosive power and sustainability. It is impossible to have both of these two things, so it can also be judged through this game which one is more suitable for both parties. Method, which is very useful for formulating tactics on the battlefield later. On the surface, Lu Feng seemed very indifferent, and he was just a melon eater. But in fact, ZZ carefully observed everyone participating in the competition. Every time everyone made a choice, many problems were exposed. These are things that need to be remembered, and these problems can be solved when the time comes for training. As time went by, everyone felt that their physical strength was very good at first. Every time everyone chose 3 people to do it at the same time. Everyone thought they could complete the task in the fastest time. It's just that so much time has passed, but I suddenly found that it didn't seem to be the case. Carrying these pieces of wood is not as easy as it looks, and because the wood is relatively large, even if 3 people transport it at the same time, everyone needs to at least carry it on their shoulders, and it will definitely not be possible to lift it up. And because there are 3 people on the stage every time, at most one person is constantly changing positions. In this way, if time goes by, there will always be one person who feels the most tired. This is an absolutely unavoidable problem. Perhaps because considering that the situation of his teammates was indeed not good, both Wu Liang and Chen Lian began to replace 3 people with 2 people in the middle of the game. Every time, the most tired person stops to take a rest, and another person gets on. At this time, everyone realized that only in this way can we maintain the same level of consumption as possible without making everyone feel so tired that everyone has to stop and take a rest. If this were the case, correct speed would be compromised and victory would be absolutely impossible. So taking this into consideration, both of them tried to reduce the number of people as much as possible while maintaining the speed of their team as much as possible. But even so, the 2 of them didn't notice this at all in the early stage, so even if they changed their tactics slightly, it actually had no effect on the overall speed reduction. The speed should be slowed down. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 828. If the speed slows down this time, it's not just one side's problem. At the same time, the other side's speed also begins to slow down. It's just that each team's speed of decline is different. After seeing this scene, Lu Feng was not surprised at all, because everything that just happened was within his expectation. But even so, it was discovered that the physical strength of the teammates was starting to fail, but the game was not over yet. Even if all the wood was not moved, the time was not up yet, so there was absolutely no way the game would stop. Wu Liang and Chen Lian both looked at each other. They set off almost at the same time, and it may have something to do with the antagonistic relationship between the two. Every time they set off, the other one would definitely follow, and neither of them was willing in their hearts. Throw in the towel. After seeing that the opponent's speed began to slow down, I felt a little more at ease. But even so, both sides still want to seize this opportunity to surpass each other as soon as possible. Wu Liang thinks so, and Chen Lian naturally thinks the same. Therefore, it was not long before the overall speed dropped, and both sides started to get angry again. The original speed going down the mountain increased a lot, and it seemed that they were catching up. It's just that their doing this doesn't actually make any sense. According to the current progress of the game, there is still a lot of time left, and there are also a lot of wood placed on the opposite side of the track. It is almost impossible to complete it in a short time. So this means that in a short time, the physical strength of both parties will probably be completely exhausted because of this anger. This is no joke. If you lose your physical strength while running, that's fine. But if you lose your physical strength while carrying wood, then these videos are likely to be hit by wood. Fortunately, these pieces of wood have been treated. Although it won't kill anyone, it will still cause a lot of pain if it is accidentally hit. In order to prevent this, Lu Feng hurriedly asked people to go over and prepare. Whenever he found something was wrong, he would immediately take action and protect the safety of his companions first. This is the most important thing, and the rest everything can only be discussed if safety is ensured. Not long after, what Lu Feng thought of actually happened. Just now during the process of transporting wood, the two teams were chasing after each other desperately. No one wanted to be in second place. Because in this situation, competing with each other, plus their own physical strength has been consumed a lot, the consumption of both sides is almost the same, so whether it is Wu Liang or Chen Lian, their physical strength is almost good. For the time being I can barely stand, but I can't run freely now. There was even a team member on Wu Liang's side who couldn't continue to hold on. In the end, he could only collapse on the ground. The moment the wood hit him, his whole body felt extremely painful, but at least it was only once. After being hit, I could only helplessly hold back and couldn't even scream. When everyone at the scene saw this scene, they were very shocked. I didn't expect that such a situation would happen outside. After all, the wood itself didn't look very big. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 829. In fact, if there are not two people, these logs can be moved by one person without any problem, so it can be seen that the amount of work is large enough to make other people present feel excited. The wood that looks fragile to everyone can actually be moved very quickly, but in fact, the moving process is not as simple as it seems. Since the 4 people who participated in the previous competition have begun to feel a little tired, and carrying wood is already very bad for their current situation, they must not be allowed to participate, but this competition has not been divided yet. Victory or defeat comes, so no matter which side it is, if it ends hastily like this, it will definitely not be willing. If this was the case, Lu Feng directly proposed to everyone at this time that people from each camp send 4 people to continue participating in the competition until the regular competition ends, or directly finish moving the wood. No one would refuse such a proposal. After all, only a real victory in this game can show how strong one is. The same is true for people born as common people, not to mention children from rich families. Both sides agreed to this proposal, so the 2 sides replaced 4 other people on the spot, and the game continued after that. Just like that, when everyone originally thought that the game could only be interrupted, it started again. So far, if we just count it based on the number of wood, we are already halfway through the race. It's just that up until now, there hasn't been a winner or loser, and there hasn't even been a sign. Because every 1 euro trademark's progress is actually about the same. Although relatively speaking, these people who are from civilian backgrounds and often do farm work have better physical strength and will naturally have a certain advantage when moving wood, but they don't know how to use their brains and basically just use brute force. I don't know if it is due to skill. There is no way to continue such a long and high-length transport work. People born from rich families do better in this regard. Although the strength is not as strong as the other party, the cooperation between them will actually be better, and everyone knows how to use skill, so in the overall transportation process, even the physical consumption is actually relatively small. After going back and forth like this, in fact, the gap between the 2 sides is not big, it is only a matter of a second or 2. It is precisely because of this that there is no hope for the game so far. Just when everyone thought that the game might be a draw, suddenly this team of civilians accidentally stumbled. They did not master how to use their power skillfully. Therefore, during the process of carrying wood, especially when 3 people went out at the same time, the 2 people collided with each other, causing the last person to be held by his feet and eventually fell to the ground. Although they have tried their best to get up from the ground and continue to carry the wood, their mistake just now has given their opponents the opportunity to seize the opportunity. You have a big head start. These people born from rich families are actually pretty good at being clever. Although they are not as strong as their counterparts, they are much better at using their brains. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 830. Just now, after I discovered that another group of people had made a mistake, I quickly rushed forward with all my might, using up all the strength I had accumulated bit by bit. In this way, I could make the best use of the situation as much as possible. During that time, maximize the distance. Although there is no guarantee of how much, it is better to have as much as possible than nothing. Now that the game has entered the second half, to be precise, the time has come, but Lu Feng didn't tell everyone. He just wanted to see what step these people could do and whether it was true. These pieces of wood can be moved in one go. He said before that if the wood he prepared could be finished in one go, it would actually have a very good training effect on the people present, regardless of the final outcome of the game. Therefore, when Lu Feng was about to arrive for a period of time, he did not tell others the time, which was actually intentional. After carrying the wood, he finally said that there was not much left. If calculated carefully, the remaining quantity of both parties was actually the same. However, due to the mistake just now, the difference in quantity between the 2 parties has now reached half. Don't a Euro trademark T underestimate just half. In fact, in many places, just the difference in quantity of half can determine many things. And as the lagging side, it is indeed extremely difficult to close the half gap. Unless the opponent also makes a mistake, it is possible to win the game. It's just that it's almost impossible to have the same thing happen again. Originally, everyone thought that the civilian side could win this game, but the actual result was somewhat unsatisfactory. We can only blame them for their fall just now. From the moment the game was about to end, his family could actually see the final result, but this result did feel a little uncomfortable. Although it was said that the allotted time had been exceeded, in the end both teams were allowed to move all the wood. The competition was over. Lu Feng stood up from his original position and announced the result to everyone. I think everyone already knows the result of this competition. Chen Lian's team won. When Lu Feng said when these words were said, Chen Lian and his team members were all very happy. Everyone liked to hear about this kind of thing, and the more they came, the better. But just when everyone thought that this was the final conclusion, they were all wrong. After coughing twice, Lu Feng continued to say to everyone, but don't be too happy yet. This is just the first written test, and it can't reflect anything. There will be another competition next, and that is the mountain test. Cross country. The term mountain cross country is very new to everyone, and ETA Euro trademark S the first time the Euro trademark VE heard it, so they don't a Euro trademark T know what it means, but it sounds very high-end. Lu Feng told everyone the specific behaviors of mountain cross country, and also announced the rules of this three-place cross-country competition. Wu Liang and Chen Lian each led a team, and the two sides formed a confrontation. Have you noticed the mountain behind you? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 831. Everyone turned their eyes towards the direction Lu Feng pointed just now. Starting from our military camp as the starting point, we need to climb the mountain just now, from east to west. Before setting off, each team will receive certain resources, which are your own chips. During the review process, no matter what method you use, you must seize the resources in the opponent's hands as much as possible and also keep the resources in your hands. Just fine. When it finally appears at the end, whichever side has the most resources will win. Actually, the rules of the competition are very simple. It's just a simulated actual combat drill in this mountain. But if the proper nouns are said so clearly, it is impossible for these people in front of them to understand them. In their eyes, there are only strong ones and losers, so ETA Euro trademark S easy to explain it to them directly using this logic. But there is still a premise. When the rules of the competition were announced just now, the premise of all must be to ensure that everyone under safe conditions, wounded people can appear, but the two sides are absolutely not allowed to kill each other. Once someone dies, the other side will be immediately ruled out of the game. After learning the complete detailed rules, both sides' discussions have already begun in private, and they are all discussing what tactics should be used next to obtain the final victory. Originally, everyone thought that the final victory could be determined in the game just now. But it seems that is not the case now. Lu Fengyuan has other tests. But this is good, it can rekindle the fighting spirit of Wu Liang and others who just lost, making them feel that they still have a chance, so in the next time I will work harder. Maybe it is because of this idea that it may affect the final result of the game. The reason why I did a Euro trademark T tell everyone at the beginning that there was actually more than one test was to show my performance at this time. Everyone's desire to survive, or the desire to win. At that time, when we were faced with the slightest hope, we would always exert power that was unexpected by ourselves or others. If we can better develop our potential, or say it is used subconsciously to protect oneself or to kill the enemy, it is the best choice on the battlefield. Lu Feng's training is not only for the continuous strengthening of the body, but also for the soldier's physical strength. Improve the psychological quality. If we follow the scientific training method, it is useless for soldiers to just have strong muscles. They also need to improve their qualities in all aspects. Only in this way can they truly become a strong soldier or even a strong soldier. The King of Soldiers. Although Lu Feng does not expect a being similar to the King of Soldiers to appear among this group of people, he at least wants them to become their strongest selves. After all, these people have never been on the battlefield. It can be said that he has zero experience, and it is precisely because of this that Lu Feng feels that this training will be relatively difficult. In the past, most of the people Lu Feng trained have been on the battlefield, even if their strength is very weak, but they also know how dangerous the battlefield is. There are many unstable factors, and those who can survive on the battlefield are definitely very powerful people. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 832. People like these who have always grown up in a peaceful environment have no idea how cruel the battlefield can be. At first, Lu Feng was a little scared. Maybe his goal was too high. After all, this mission had to cross the entire mountain range. And according to Lu Feng's requirements, we must try our best to snatch resources during the game. During the snatching process, we must also think about how to protect our resources from being snatched away by the opponent, so it's just a complicated thing. Compared with the previous test of moving wood, this time the test actually considered more comprehensive issues. If this battle is divided into two simulated camps, then both sides can use various methods to fight back. This is why the battle between the two sides has never stopped from the beginning. One of the reasons. There is no doubt that all the arrangements before this, including the wood-carrying competition just now, are actually just a warm-up for this matter. It's like a warm-up match, but the real challenge is still behind you. Before the game officially started, Wu Liang suddenly asked General, in the game just now, many of us spent too much energy. If it continues under such circumstances, it will be very difficult for us. Disadvantage, so I suggest that this competition start again tomorrow. Do you think that's possible? And if you are very tired, the others are probably about the same. After all, no one has had a rest since the beginning, not to mention that everyone has consumed a lot of energy before. There is no way Lu Feng would agree to this kind of thing. What he wants is this result, so that everyone can compete when they are already very tired. In fact, it is beneficial and harmless to everyone. If everyone can really break through themselves, challenge their limits, and constantly hone their willpower. Because there are still many people who hope to take a break before starting this competition, but after seeing Lu Feng Euro trademark's attitude just now, no one else had any questions. After Lu Feng saw that no one raised any questions, he directly told everyone that the game would officially start from this moment. The length of the game was not subject to any restrictions this time, but if it is not possible after completing the race, there will be no planned dinner today. So no matter what the reason, everyone must hope to complete this so-called mountain cross-country in the shortest possible time. After giving the order, everyone present went directly to rushing in the direction of the back mountain. On their only way, there are supplies that have been prepared for them long ago, which are actually just their own weapons. Based on the number of heads, each person has a separate and only weapon. If your weapon is snatched away by the opponent, it cannot be regarded as victory when you finally cross the finish line, so when you are approaching the finish line, you must find a way to snatch your own weapon back. If you can take the opponent's once the weapon is obtained, it proves that this person has won. At the end, let's calculate separately how many people have won. This way, it can be intuitively reflected and let everyone know directly what the final result will be.